Hey everyone, welcome back to a math lesson. Today we're going to go through a grade 10 factoring review. All right, so let's get started. A factor, so let's highlight this. A factor is a number that divides evenly into another number. So for example, we have 1, 2, 4, and 8 are all factors of the number 8. Okay? Multiples, so again, factors and multiples are different. Multiples of a number are determined by multiplying the number by 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, so those, if it's like you're skip counting. Okay, so for example, we have 6, 12, 18, 24. Those are all multiples of 6, and you can keep going. Okay, the greatest common factor, or the GCF, of 2 or more terms is the greatest factor the terms have in common. So the big thing is that they have it in common. So if we're taking two different types of numbers, okay, for example, 8 and 24, for example, your greatest common factor will be 8 because that divides both into 8 and 24. Okay, so we're going to review the different types of factoring. So we have one being your greatest common factor, or your GCF. You have your difference of squares. So that's given as a squared minus b squared, so you can split that up into two different terms. That's a plus b multiplied by a minus b. Okay, you have a perfect square trinomial, so that's a squared plus 2 times a times b plus b squared. Okay, and that's equal to a plus b all raised to the power of 2. Okay, you're gonna have a trinomial where a is equal to 1, so it'll look like x squared plus bx plus c. So a would be the coefficient that goes in front of the x squared. Okay, so this one is considered an easier way, is to add and multiply method. And then you have your fifth one, which is a trinomial where a is not equal to 1. Okay, so it looks very similar to number 4, where the trinomial is a is equal to 1, except now we actually have an a value where a is not 1. So you have ax squared plus bx plus c. So this one is a little bit more trickier. So we're going to use that one by decomposition. Okay, so I'm going to go through multiple examples. Okay, you can follow along as I go through each of them. If you need to pause the video and try the examples before I go ahead and do them, please make sure you do so. Okay, practice always makes perfect. Okay, so let's do the first one. First one being your greatest common factor, a. So a says we have x squared plus 4x. So what is the biggest thing that we can take out of your x squared minus 4x? So what's common between the two is actually an x. Okay, so what we can do is we factor out the x, and what's left inside would be x plus 4. Because if you were to look at it in the reverse and go, okay, well, if I were to multiply this back in, I have to distribute this x into the bracket like so, and go, okay, well, x times x gives me x squared. Okay, and then x times 4 gives me 4x. So that way we know that the answer is x plus 4. That's a great way for us to actually determine to see if we have the correct answer or not. Okay, let's do b. b is 4d to the power of 2 plus 20d. Okay, so in this one, we can confidently say that we can take d out of both. Okay, because the letter d is in both the first term and the second term of this binomial. Okay, so this is going to be d, and we're going to open a bracket. Okay, now we're going to look at the coefficients in front. Okay, so the coefficients are the numbers. So is there a number that's common between 4 and 20? Okay, so we can look at it and go, okay, well, 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 25 times. So we can actually take out a 4. So we can also take out a 4 as well. And go, okay, well, 4 divided by 4 gives me 1, so all I'm left with is the letter D for the first term. And the second term, well, I'm going to go, okay, 20 divided by 4, well, that leaves me with 5. Okay, quick way to check is you distribute back in. Okay, so you're going to go, okay, well, 4d times d, well, that's 4d squared. And then 4d times 5, well, that's 20, which is what the original question was saying. So this is to confirm that, yes, the answer is 4d and then d plus 5. Okay? So again, if you want to pause and try the next two, C and D, before I go ahead and do so, please make sure that you pause the video and then try it out, and then you can press play, and then you can finish and see if you got it right. Okay? Perfect. Okay, so C, we have y to the power of 3 minus 2y squared. So in this case, we have, technically, these are 3 y's being multiplied together. So this is like y times y times y. Okay? And then you're minusing 2 times y times y. So that's what it looks like. Okay? What's common between these, okay, so we're going to take out their greatest common factor, is that there's actually 2 y's we can take out of both. There's 2 y's here, and there's 2 y's here. So we can actually factor out both of those y's. So what it looks like you're going to go, okay, well, this is y times y, right? This is a bracket. Multiplied by, well, whatever's left inside. There should be 1y, and then a negative 2. So we're going to go y minus 2. But we know that y times y is the same as y squared. So you can go y minus 2. Okay? So what you can also do is you can look at the exponents, and you can go, okay, well, if this is 3 and this is 2, that way you know that, okay, at the first term, there's 3 of them, and in the second term, there are 2 y's. So you can go, well, the greatest common factor can be, I can take out 2 from each. So then I can go, okay, well, this is y squared, because I've taken out 2, and all I'll have left inside is y, and then a negative 2. So it still gives you the same answer. It all depends on how you're comfortable with factoring these types of questions, okay? So the more you do, the more comfortable you get, you can just go straight to the answer in most cases, okay? Last one. So in this one, we have 6p plus 18p to the power of 2. Okay, so same idea as before in B. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at, okay, in this case, they both have p's. Okay, so one is p to the power of 2, one is just 1. So you can factor out one of the p's. So you can go, okay, this is going to be p, and then we're going to open a bracket. Okay, next you'll look at the numbers. So you have 6 and 18. And you got to ask yourself, what's the greatest common factor between 6 and 18? In this case, it'll be actually 6. So you can factor out a 6 as well, which means all you have left inside will be 1 plus 3p. Now, depending on your teacher, okay, so I myself would much rather have that written so that you're decreasing in order of powers, okay? So you always want your letters to be first kind of thing, okay? So it all depends on your teacher. Every teacher's a little bit different on what they're looking for. Again, I would much rather have you write it so that it's 6p and then it's 3p plus 1, okay? They are both equivalent, okay? But just for it, it's easier for me to look at saying, okay, if we're writing it in decreasing order of power, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so that would be the answer there. So we're to look at difference of squares. Okay, so again, difference of squares, if you can't quite remember, so how it should look is x minus a. Okay, so they're both squared. Okay, so this is going to be equal to x plus a, x minus a. Now, you can write them in any order you want, x minus a, x plus a, it doesn't matter, okay? If it's a difference of squares, it'll be good like that, okay? All right, so let's look at the first one. X squared minus 9. So you're going to look at the first term. Your first term, you can notice that it can be square rooted, right? X squared can be broken up into x times x. Fair? 9 can be split up into 3 times 3. So in this case, we know that 9 can be split up into 3 times 3. And x can be split up into x times x. We just need to put it in the form of, as we see written at the top here. We need to make it look like this. Okay, so it's going to be x plus 3, and then x minus 3. There you go. That is your difference of squares. B, 25a to the power of 2 minus 16b to the power of 2. So in this case, it looks like everything can be square rooted because the 25 can be written as 5 times 5. the a can be a times a. The 16 can be 4 times 4. And the last one, your b can be written as b times b. Okay, so since we have figured out that everything can be square rooted, this is going to be another difference of squares. So again, instead of x being by itself, it'll now have a coefficient in front of it. And that's going to be 5, right? Because it's attached to the a. Okay, so it's going to be 5a plus 4b. And then it'll be 5a again, but in this second one, it'll be minus 4b. Next one, we'll do 3x to the power of 3 minus 12xy squared. Okay, so before we get started into any of this, let's take a look at what can we factor out first. Okay, so we have a 3x to the power of 3 minus 12xy squared. We want to make it look like our difference of squares. That's what we want to make it look like. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to factor out a 3x. Okay, so the reason why is I get rid of the 3 in front because there is no perfect number for the square root of 3. Okay, so I'm going to factor out a 3 first and an x. So that I'm left with x squared, right? Because I factored out a 3 and an x. So now it becomes x squared. And it's going to be minus 12y. Oh, my mistake. Not 12. Because 12 divided by 3 gives us 4y squared. Okay, now that we're at this part, we can now take a look back and say, is this now a difference of squares? Okay, yes, it is. The reason being is that we have x squared minus 4. 4 can be split into 2 times 2. And then we have y squared as well. So we're just going to leave the 3x alone on the outside and just work with the binomial in the inside of the brackets here. Okay, so it's going to be x plus 2y. And then we have x minus 2y. There still is your difference of squares. You leave the 3x alone on the outside. It's not going to change anything. Okay, but that is your factoring in this case. And that will be your final answer. Moving on to example 3. Okay, so example 3 is your perfect square trinomial. Okay, so that's when you can split it. That's when you can bring it down to, if we can recall, that's what it can be written as, okay? So we're going to rewrite it so that it's like that, okay? So now we have x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay, all right. In this case, it's going to be x squared. So again, because it's a perfect square trinomial, it's going to be x plus 2, right? And then x plus 2, right? It has to add to 4, but multiply to also equal 4. So what are the factors of 4? That add to give you 4 and also multiply to give you 4. Well, in both cases, it's 2. Okay, so that's what you're going to use. So x plus 2, x plus 2. Well, since these are the same, we can rewrite it to be x plus 2 squared. Okay. Moving on to b, we have 2x squared plus 16x plus 32. So what we're going to do first is we are actually going to divide everything by 2. Okay, so we're going to factor out a 2 first. So we're going to go, okay, 2, and then x squared plus 8x plus 16. Okay, again, we'll go through, we're going to add, right? Add to give us 8, but multiply to give us 16. What number is multiply to give you 16, but add to give you 8? And in this case, it's going to be 4. Okay, so then we're going to have 2, and then x plus 4, x plus 4. But because they are the same, we can rewrite it to be 2x plus 4 squared. And that is your final answer for this one. Okay. Last one, we have y squared plus 6y plus 9. So which ones add to equal 6, but multiply to equal 9? And in this case, it's going to be 3. Okay, so it's going to be y plus 3 and y plus 3. And again, because they are the same, we can rewrite it to be y plus 3 squared. Example 4, trinomials where a is equal to 1. Okay, so very similar to the last examples, except now we're going to do, we're going to add to equal 4, but we're going to multiply to equal negative 21. So what are the factors of negative 21 that add to give you positive 4? It's going to be 7 and negative 3. Why? Because 7 multiplied by negative 3 gives us negative 21, but 7 add negative 3 gives us 4. So now we're going to go x plus 7x squared plus 7x minus 3x minus 21. So essentially what we have done is we have split up this 4x to be 7x and negative 3x. So we've just taken the 4 and rewritten it so that it's the factors of the negative 21. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at two separate terms. We're going to look at this, and then we're going to look at this. So what are the factors? What is the greatest common factor of x squared plus 7x? Well, they both contain an x, so we can factor out an x. So we're going to factor out x. Okay, so we're left with this x plus 7. And looking at the second bracket, negative 3x minus 21, what's the greatest common factor in that case? It's negative 3. Okay, so we're going to factor out negative 3, and what's left is x plus 7. Again, because negative 21 divided by negative 23 gives us positive 7, right? Negative divided by negative gives you a positive. Okay, this is what we want. We want these two to be the same, because now we can rewrite it and go, okay, this is now going to be x minus 3 and then x plus 7. Would you look at that? That's our factors. Okay, so when you're doing a trinomial where a is 1, you can go and rewrite this with your factors. That's your answer, right? X minus 3, there's your minus 3, and x plus 7, there's your plus 7. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to go through all of this to get your answer, okay? But this is how we did it in grade 10, so this is just a nice little refresher for you, okay? B, x squared minus 4x plus 4. So again, you want to add to give you negative 4, but you want to multiply to give you positive 4. So what are the factors of 4 that multiply to give you positive 4, but add to give you negative 4? It's going to be negative 2. Both terms will be negative 2, right? So it's going to be negative 2 and negative 2. Now again, because our trinomial where a is equal to 1, you can actually rewrite this entire trinomial to just be x minus 2, x minus 2, and you're done. Okay, so again, in this case, you can actually rewrite this to be x minus 2 squared. These are equivalent, they mean the exact same. Okay, but if they want to simplify it to final terms, you'd rewrite it as x minus 2 squared, right? That's the most simplified version you can get. Okay, next one. Again, x squared minus 3x minus 10. Okay, so in this case, again, you want to add to give you negative 3, but you want to multiply to give you negative 10. So what are the factors of negative 10 that add to give you negative 3? That's going to be negative 5 and positive 2. So it's going to be negative 5 and positive 2. So then you rewrite it so that it's x minus 5. Okay, and then x plus 2. There are your factors, right? It still multiplies, right? Negative 5 times negative 2 still gives you negative 10, and negative 5 plus 2 still gives you negative 3. Okay, so that would be your final answer for that example. And moving on to D, the final one. So this is now going to be, you're going to add to give you positive 3, but you're going to multiply to give you negative 28. So what are the factors of negative 28 that give you positive 3? Okay. In this case, it's going to be positive 7 and negative 4. Okay. It still has to give you positive 3, but when you multiply them together, it still gives you negative 28. So now you take these factors and you substitute in. It's going to be x plus 7 and then x minus 4. Again, when you multiply them using the distributive property, okay, you still get negative 28, but when you add them, you get positive 3. And that is what you were looking for. Example 5. Example 5 saying trinomials where a cannot equal negative 1. So now basically all we have now are numbers in front of our x squared. Okay? Very simple. We're going to do the exact same thing where we need to find what it adds to and multiply. You're going to take your first term, your a value, and multiply it by your c value. So you're going to go 3 multiplied by negative 8. So you're looking for the factors of negative 24. My mistake, negative 24. But you're going to add to give you negative 10. So the factors of negative 24 that add to give you negative 10. Well, the answer to that is going to be negative 12 and positive 2. So we're going to split apart that negative 10 so that it's these two factors, and then we're going to solve. Okay? So let's go ahead and let's do that. So it's going to be 3x squared minus 12x plus 2x minus 8. Okay, so again, if we were to just look at this center part for a moment, these two still add to give you negative 10. So all we have done is we have rewritten that negative 10 so that they're the factors that we found. That's all we did. Okay? Now, what we are going to do is we're going to split this in half. And we're going to look at the factors. We're going to factor each bracket. So let's factor the first bracket. We have 3x squared minus 12x. What is the greatest common factor in that case? Well, it's going to be 3x. They both contain an x, and they both are divisible by 3. So it's going to be 3x, and then it's x minus 4. Perfect. Second bracket, positive 2x minus 8. What is the greatest common factor in that case? Positive 2. It goes into both 2 and negative 8, and only one term contains x, so it's not an x. Okay, so it's going to be positive 2. Make sure you write positive 2 in there to distinguish that's what you're factoring out. All that's left is x minus 4. That's great. That's what we want, because now we have two x minus 4s. So now what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite so that it's 3x plus 2 and then x minus 4. Now, it does not matter which order you write these in. If you wrote x minus 4 first and then 3x plus 2 second, it still works out the same, okay? Because of your multiplying, they'll still multiply back to give you the 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. Okay? Let's try B. B is 4x squared plus 3x minus 7. So again, we're going to add and then multiply. We're going to add to give us 3, but we're going to multiply to give us, well, 4 times negative 7. That gives us negative 28. Okay, so what are the factors of negative 28 that add to give us positive 3? Well, it's already written, just in the wrong order. So it's going to be positive 7 and negative 4. Okay, so we're going to split apart that 3x. It's going to be 4x squared minus 4x. Okay, and we're going to go plus 7x minus 7. Okay, so again, we're going to split it down the middle and look at these two brackets separately. First one, 4x squared minus 4x. Greatest common factor, that's going to be 4x. what's left in the middle is x minus 1. Don't forget the 1, right? 4 divided by 4 still gives you 1. Not 0, 1. Okay, next one. 7x, positive 7x minus 7. The greatest common factor is going to be 7. In this case, positive 7, because all we have left is, again, x minus 1. Because these two brackets are the same, we can now rewrite it so that it's 4x plus 7, and then x minus 1. Okay, last two examples. So in this case, we have 3y squared plus 13y plus 4. So again, you're going to do your add, and you're multiplying. So you're going to add to get 13, but multiply to give you 12. So what are the factors of 12 that add to give you 13? You can actually use 12 and 1. Okay, it's not one we tend to remember all that too often, but that's basically what it is. Okay, so let's split apart the 13y to be 12 plus 1. 3y squared plus 12y plus 1y plus 4. Okay, so again, let's break it apart. Separate them, because now we have 3y squared plus 12y. Okay, so 3y squared plus 12y. The greatest common factor of that is going to be 3y. Okay, and then what's left is y plus 4. Okay, second one, 1y plus 4. Greatest common factor of that is 1. You can still factor out a 1 from each, which leaves us y plus 4. Which is great, because now we have y plus 4 and y plus 4. We can rewrite it so that it's 3y plus 1, and then y plus 4. Done. Last one. So you're going to add, multiply. So you're going to add to give you 6, but multiply to give you, well, hang on, 2 times negative 56. Well, that's going to give you 112. So now you need to find the factors of 112 that give you 6. Is there an easier way? Well, what you can do before you do any of this is you can see if you can simplify this first. What can you factor out first before you do this? You can factor out a 2. They're all even numbers. X squared plus 3x minus, well, what's 56 divided by 2? 28? Well, now this is much easier. I know it's no longer a trinomial with your a value not being 1, but if you can factor it to simplify it and make it easier for yourself, please do so. Okay, x squared plus 3x minus 28. Well, what are the factors of negative 28 that add to give you 3? It's 7 and 4 again. Positive 7, negative 4. Positive 7, negative 4. The exact thing. It still works. Now, if you want to find all the multiples of 112, you certainly can go and do that. Okay? It will still give you the exact same answer. Well, that's it for the review of factoring for grade 10. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below, or you can follow me on my social media to help you out there. Okay? But remember, when it comes to math, keep calm and show your work.